Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Syazwan bin Fouzi. I'm from HM770-2A. Today, I want to speak about Elon Musk investment, the makings of billionaire. First, let me talk about the Elon Musk background. Elon Musk grew up in South Africa. Okay, he was born there, and then he started to migrate to Canada at the age of 17. He was landed in the US as a transfer student at the University of Pennsylvania. Mark taught himself a computer programming at the age of 10, and he wrote the first game or program that he was made at the age of 12 that called Plastar. He made his first $500 by selling it to the magazine called PC and Other Technology. He made 500 ringgit, $500 by selling the game. The successful of Elon Musk in his business can be in three phases. Okay, number one, Elon Musk as a early stage of entrepreneur. Number two, Elon Musk as a multitasker, and number three, Elon Musk as a conglomerator. So, in phase one, Musk as the early stages as an entrepreneur. After dropping out at Stanford in 1995, Musk founded Zip2 with his brother Kimball using $28,000 borrowed from their father. It was intended to be an online consumer version of Yellow Pages linked to mapping visual. With his ownership diluted to 7%, his influence won over the direction of the business, and eventually in 1999, Elon Musk sold to Compaq for $307 million. Musk earned $22 million from the deal. So in November of the same year, Musk invested $10 million of his Zip2 proceeds into funding of X.com, one of the first attempts at online banking. In March of the 2000, it merged with Peter Thiel Confidential Platform, which was its major competitor at the time. By February 2002, the business has IPO, but then 8 months later, it was bought by eBay for $1.5 billion, and Musk pocketed around $180 million from the sale itself. So Elon Musk invested from $28,000 from his father, okay, and he pocketed $180 million from the sale of the PayPal. Let's we go to the phase two as Elon Musk of the multitasker in investment. As with X.com, he didn't waste any time after the PayPal sale, and he established SpaceX in the same year. In April 2004, Musk first dipped his toe into the world of Tesla through a $6.35 million investment into its Series A round. At this point in time, he was also continuously investing into the formation of SpaceX, and he was following into the future of fundings round of Tesla with rising restlessness and frequency. Despite not founding Tesla, his influence rose continuously, stemming from his invaluable operational and financial input. Moving on to 2006, following Musk's suggestion and encouragement, his cousin Peter and Lyndon Rife established a Solar City. Musk invested a seed capital into the business and assumed the role of chairman. He followed on in three more subsequent rounds between 2007 to 2012. We go to the last phase of Elon Musk as an investor, Musk as a conglomerator. With Tesla starting to turn corner, well, now was the turn of SpaceX, which began to gain positive traction through successful trial and contract with NASA. The realism of three companies began to slowly intertwine in terms of deal between them and their common narrative of forging a sustainable future for mankind. In this period, Musk's angel investing turned towards an AI and biotech-focused startup. At this period, his net worth during this period grew exponentially from $2 billion in 2012 to $19 billion in 2018, according to Forbes. Tesla's share price also skyrocketed after the introduction of the Model 3 PHEV and away to the beginning of mass market consumer electric vehicle. SpaceX, while still private, raised funding in July 2017 at $21.2 billion valuation. The rapid growth of his net worth over the last 6 years, okay, has been shown in the night. Okay, from the graph you can see at side. Okay, the growth of Elon Musk go skyrocket. Okay, year by year by year, they go starting growing every year. So when COVID-19 shut down the US economy in March of 2021, Elon Musk had a rocket to be launched. The billionaire space exploration venture SpaceX was planning to blast a crew spacecraft into the sky in May and wanted to stay on schedule. That means finding a way to keep facilities safely open and limit the spread of COVID-19, a challenge when tests were in short supply. So, to monitor the prevalence of the virus among SpaceX workers nationwide, the Elon Musk and the rocket company top medical executive work with doctors and academic researchers to build an antibody testing program. More than 4,000 space workers volunteered to monthly blood tests for the COVID-19 pandemic. So, what lesson that we can learn from the way of Elon Musk invested? Okay, number one, he don't seek any control. The introduction of external venture capital and dilution of his own share means that Musk was powerless to resist being ousted as CEO to Zip2. Despite becoming a rich man from a successful sale, its outcome disappointed him. He was unable to carve the company into his vision. Second, cash light but asset rich. Musk has continually plowed his net worth back into a startup investing. It as he takes the view that any net worth generated from a startup sale is a portion out from his other asset and relocate into venture or startup investing. Immediately after Zip2 and PayPal, he was already founding and funding his next venture. And number three, he takes extreme, often personal financial risk. As much of 2017, Musk had total personal borrowing of 624 million that had been used to fund his investment in Tesla. His borrowing are collateralized by his own share in Tesla. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley have been significant personal lender to Musk, and incidentally both have underwritten many of Tesla deals in the capital market. Number four, he creates an ecosystem around himself. He invests in his network and reinforces it. Looking at Musk's angel investing portfolio is again interesting for his success rate entrance, patterns, and sectorial strategies. He also used a creative financing method, such as government support. As of summer of 2015, the LA Times calculated that Tesla, SpaceX, and SolarCity had received around 4.9 billion in government support, with the largest contribution arriving the same year. Okay? The New York government engaged in similar support of 750 million for the SolarCity factory in Buffalo. So, in my opinion, yeah, Musk is a victim of running a company that is listed on the public market. Tesla is an automotive company that is priced and treated as a high-growth technology company. Musk's maneuver point to the action of a private company CEO who will hustle and do anything to ensure the financial survival of his business. His plan to only IPO SpaceX when there are regular flights to Mars are telling that he doesn't want the distraction of being a public CEO. He just wants to grow his business alone. Thank you for me.